This is a how-to video on using the app. It's very simple, but it's more about setting up the Google Sheet. I'm going to open that up in a second and you'll see. I'm doing it on the computer, but I've tested this out, copying and pasting the codes and then sending them to myself in an email and also an iMessage, and then opening that up on the computer and then doing the Google Sheet on the computer, and it has worked well. So this is the brand new Google Sheet that I've just set up, and this is the second page, and you go up to the top on the app and you copy header line, and you just stick it into the very first box, and it'll just do all of them at once. And if you do it as a copy and paste, it just means that it's exactly the same as mine, and it means that the coding will work. So then you scroll down a little bit, and it's this coding that you're copying. But I've done a little copy code button again, so it's a lot easier than trying to actually click it. So you're just pressing the copy app script and then going back onto the Google Sheet and going to extensions, and then you're going apps script. And you click on that and you come into this page. Now you need to delete those few little lines there. So if you select them all and delete them all and then copy your code, if you don't have everything deleted, the code isn't going to work. So make sure everything is deleted. And then you need to press save, which is just Apple Save. And that should save it. And then you need to go into deploy. So if you go into deploy and new deployment and click on that, it will load up this window, and you need to click on the left hand side of the little cog there, which I've clicked on, and it's a web app. So you click on that and then it should come up with your email, and unfortunately you need to do everyone. It doesn't work if you don't do everyone. And then deploy. And then it takes a few seconds for this to spin round for some reason. And then you need to authorise access. So click on authorise access and this comes up. And then again, you're clicking on your account. And if you go to advanced, and I know it says Google hasn't verified this app. And then you go to untitled project, unless you've titled the project, but it should be untitled project probably at this point. Go down to the bottom and click allow, and again it spins for a few seconds, and then click the copy URL. You don't want to click the top one, you want to copy that one. Should say Excel, so yeah, copy that one, press done, close this down, and you should be back into your Google Sheets. Go back, and it has to be sheet 1. You can't rename that. You can rename your spreadsheets, but you can't rename sheet 1. So you're back on the app again, and if you press open settings and you paste that what we've just copied in there and press save, that then should alter the spreadsheet so that it's got all the code in, and that every time then you export to Google Sheets it will do it. And I've just run a little test and it takes a few seconds, but it's just done a basic little cyanotype there, and it's coloured it blue because that's what colour blue comes up with for cyanotypes. I've coloured them all so you can see them, which ones you've done. I'm going to just delete this now because it's just a test and we don't want it clogging up. But the idea was, so if you had lots of different processes going, you would also just be able to see them a lot easier with the colour coding. But it does copy new ones at the top each time. So each time that you export to Google Sheet, the newest one will be on the top. So we're just putting in figures. So I'm just making these up, but I pretended that I'd done an exposure for 600 and the Stoof wedge came up with the first black as 6, and I used a 3 Stoofer and it's a cyanotype, and I do put in some paper type. Now the paper type, ink type and aquatint don't actually matter, and it doesn't matter for the calculation even for the photopolymer. It's just so that it's there for you, because paper type does make a difference in your exposures with like cyanotype and salt and things like that. So it's good to keep a record of it, but you don't have to, because this is a record for you, not for anyone else. So you put in what you like, really. And I'm just doing another test now. I've done photopolymer. I've not put in ink because I've been a bit lazy, but I have put the aquatint time in there so that it does it. And I pressed calibrate. I can see there my standard exposure. I press the button to export to Google Sheets, and again it puts it on the bottom and then it lifts it up to the top straight away, and you can see it's a different colour. It's got the aquatint timing on there. You can see the standard exposure has changed because we've changed the figures, so you can see the calculation is actually working. I change it again and I do a salt print this time, and I keep the figures the same, and I calibrate, and it's the exact same exposure. You can see that the aquatint has made no difference in the actual exposure because it doesn't use that to calculate the exposure. And so you can see salt has come up as pink. They are quite bright colours, and they don't all relate to the processes. Only the cyanotype really did, but they're all different colours, and that's just, I just thought it was quite a good way of just showing all the different ones for you. So I hope that was helpful, and I hope you enjoy my app, and I would really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, just so I can keep making these extremely basic videos. Thanks so much.